play?
I'm going to play multiplication.
ThoughtBox Learning create beautiful apps like Numerosity. The clue's in the name. It's all about numbers and playing with numbers. And using Gameful Learning, ThoughtBox design educational products for young audiences that encourage play and experimentation. Supported by the NDRC and Wayra, this award-winning company in 2012 were voted one of the best of the App Store. Recently, founder and CEO Cristina Luminea came in to chat.
First of all, how old is ThoughtBox, and where did the idea to get into the app business come from?
So I started ThoughtBox in 2011, September 2011, as a result of the participation in the Launchpad, NDRC Launchpad program. So the whole idea behind it, I was always passionate about education, and I used to work for Hutton Mifflin Harcourt as well here in Dublin for a couple of years, and then I just decided to quit my job and start looking at building my own business around education. And it was mainly because I started playing with an iPad, and I realized that it has so much potential for a kid to be able to touch numbers and symbols and move them around and observe what happens. It just made sense to me. That's more or less the way maths works in my own head.
Okay.
So that's where everything started from. I came up with this idea of putting my understanding of maths and the way I look at maths into on a brilliant device in terms of a tablet, and allowing kids to touch the numbers and play around.
Okay, so do you kind of think of maths visually then, in a sense, do you?
Exactly, and maths is very fluid, and that's what a lot of people don't really understand. You can move things around, and if you don't know what, 7 plus 5 is in 7 plus 5 plus 3, you can just say, okay, well, 7 plus 3 is 10, and then you can add 5. And that's the whole idea behind Numerosity. It's about moving numbers around and trying to figure out the rules by yourself as you go along.
Sure. So Numerosity are that's your key range of apps.
At the moment, yes.
Of which there are...
At the moment, we have 4 apps on the market, which are looking at addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And we're looking to launch another app, the 5th app, which is addressing the order of operations. We actually realized that a lot of the population all around the world is not aware that you need to multiply before you add or subtract. So when they're presented with an equation of 3 plus 4 multiplied by 2, they tend to do addition first and then multiplication.
Okay, so you got your apps. Numerosity is set. When did Numerosity launch in the App Store?
The first version of Numerosity launched in November 2012.
And it got a great reception?
Yes, we were really lucky.
People are talking about it. Yeah.
People were talking about us. Within 1 month, Apple featured the app as App Store Best of 2012 in 15 countries.
In 15 countries, right?
Yeah. The app is localized in 6 different languages. So this is how we're kind of penetrating in different European and world countries.
Right, okay.
And yes, that we have a lot of educators and bloggers that are writing reviews all the time, and we have yet to find a bad one.
Okay, right. Well, okay, we'll stop looking. Yeah. What do you know about the people who use your apps? Because, say, some people in this country will be familiar with Project Maths and how maths is being taught and the tablet learning element of it. What do you know about? Is it kids at home with their parents?
In general, it's mainly kids at home with their parents. Parents are looking to help their kids with maths. There are huge statistics out there when it comes to teachers not being qualified to teach maths. Just a few years ago in Ireland, I think the statistics were 42% of Irish teachers wouldn't be qualified to teach maths.
Wow.
In the US, they're 22%, in Australia, 40%, and so on. So it comes to the responsibility of maths education falls back into the hand of the parent.
Of the parents, yeah.
So a lot of parents are the ones that are actually looking for the apps in order to download them for kids to play.
Okay.
And it's really interesting because we had a lot of feedback from them. They would write to us and say, our kid has been asked to play with this free maths app as homework for 20 minutes at home, and they can come home, open the app for 20 minutes and play with it, and then they close it and start playing with Numerosity, doing the same type of exercises. So that really encouraged us and showed that we are on the right track.
Can I ask you about the idea of gamifying education?
Yeah.
And first of all, do you think it's a good idea? And B, has it changed the way people are more willing to engage for longer with apps like Numerosity?
I think it's a brilliant idea, especially when you're looking at younger kids. If you're looking at kids and the way they learn by playing and by trying and failing and trying again until they get it right. So why not do the same with education? When you're looking at maths, it has so many of the gaming elements that are already embedded inside it. It's progressing from very simple to more complex levels, if you wish.
Yeah. Competitive and...
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's a brilliant idea to look at education and subjects in general and try and make them into games.
Okay, and your thoughts on tablet learning in general? We've seen huge swathes of movement, towards tablet learning in the last 2 years, particularly. Maths is a subject you've dealt with very well, by the look of it. So in tablet learning, are you going to look at other subjects, or what are you thinking at the moment?
Yes, we're actually just engaging with a new client at the moment, which is a brand, and we are looking or exploring the idea of using science and making science into a game for iPad for younger kids. So we're just in the middle of the research now, and then hopefully the project will progress, and we're going to be looking at a new app in September.
Very good. And will that be, is that sort of the academic part of science, or will it be visual experiments? Or that's how I'd imagine it, maybe, or...
Yeah, it's mostly about visual experiments. We're currently talking to teachers, and we're trying to figure out what they lack in classrooms, and what they would find useful, and try and come up with ideas around that. How do we combine the things that teachers need in classrooms with the way kids look at apps and engagement and so on? Believe it or not, I come from Romania originally, and we actually did coding in primary school.
Did you really?
Yes.
Was it part of the curriculum, or was that just a clever teacher?
It was introduced as part of the curriculum within our final year. It was just,
So that's when you were 11 or 12? Or?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And we were just changing to the curriculum, and the government was looking at new ways and new ideas of teaching and so on. So... our school was one of the lucky schools to kind of go on this wave, and we learned coding starting in primary school. And then I went on and went into more in-depth coding problems and so on in secondary school as well. So
it worked with you, obviously.
Yeah. So I think it's a brilliant idea, because this is when kids are starting to develop that kind of pattern recognition and logic thinking that you need when it comes to coding. Coding, it's not necessarily just writing code. A lot of the times it has to do with the way you think about the world around you and so on.
To create a specification, you need to analyze the problem, and that's good for logic, it's good for collaboration.
Exactly.
It's good for aesthetics. I'm sold on it, on this idea. But it was funny, because since the weekend, and a couple of people have said, oh, I completely disagree with what you said about coding in primary school, it's too young. And I said, no, it's not too young. And they say, but it's, it's a subject. I said, no, it's not a subject, it's a life skill now. Coding's a life skill, I think, And so it's interesting to hear you say that, and that you did it.
Yeah, coding is like a new language that we need to be able to speak as we progress.
And I also think it improves, and say to balance with Numerosity and your other products, they must help each other. The development of maths and the development of and learning to code, they go hand in hand. the application of logic and learning those skills and things like that.
Yeah, they do, and I think it's really important for kids to see that they can apply maths in coding, and then they can actually visualize something and see a project coming to life.
Yeah.
And if that's, I don't know, a robot going into a maze, or a smartly designed website or app or whatever they're interested in.
What about a coding app for ThoughtBox? Would you think about creating an app that would teach kids how to write code?
It's definitely on the back of our minds.
Without giving
there.
too much product development away, but it seems a natural thing because
it's something close to my heart because I have started coding from very early stages. So I never really thought of coding being something made only for engineers or for people that are good at maths or for boys or for girls or it was something that just came naturally. And I think kids, if they're exposed to that much technology from early stages, why not show them how
it works?
to? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Can I ask you then, just so as you develop, say, the science learning apps and things like that, do you think at the moment your company makes products that they're tablet based? You make products for iOS at the moment, and you're going to do Android shortly, or already are you doing Android products?
Yes, we're looking towards Android as well. We're actually in the middle of developing for Android as well.
And probably Windows as well.
And probably Windows as well, yeah.
So at the moment, app-based, do you think you'll get to a point where the products will reach into the real world? And I'm thinking of like the maker movement and the classroom environment of, an app that controls a robot and things like that. Do you think there's a space for that?
I think there definitely is a space for that, and actually, it's interesting how that was always my passion, and it's always something that I'd love to be able to do, but it has to be done very smartly.
Yeah.
I used to participate in the Imagine competition, the Microsoft competition, and actually one of the projects that we put forward in 2008, I think, was a robot that would teach you maths, but at the same time, you would have to guide them through a maze and discover the maze by learning maths.
Okay, right? Very good.
So you had that component of, you were playing it on Xbox, on TV, on your TV and so on, but at the same time, you could put the maze together yourself, and you can place the robot in there and see how can you get this real tangible thing to move in a maze using maths.
I like the idea. I that sounds good. I think that's and I don't think and this is my opinion, I don't make apps for a living, so it's easy for me to say this, I know, but I think that the sooner that apps reach into a three-dimensional world. And I'm thinking because with that, it brings the benefits of, then kids are going to learn about 3D printing. Yeah. They're going to learn about engineering. They're going to learn about positive and negative terminals, things like that, even if it only helps you change a plug in later life. Yeah. It's a useful skill.
And it's not only that, though. Parents are increasingly worried about their kids being all the time on devices. Yeah. We used to go out and play, and we wouldn't come back into the house until the parents would,
it was dark.
Exactly.
And your parents would say, come back when it's dark.
Yeah. Now you don't see as many kids out there playing. They're mostly inside playing on computers and iPads and Xboxes and so on. So I think parents are starting to get a little bit worried. So anything that can break that spell and kind of incorporate the virtual world with the real world,
it's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, and then that helps us deal potentially with whole social problems like obesity and things like that as well.
Exactly.
Getting kids up and moving, even if it's walking around.
Yeah.
Okay. So, new products then for without going into specifics. So this 2014. This year, are you going to release a couple of new products by the sound of it?
So we are looking to release our own products, which continue on the maths side of things, but we're also looking to collaborate with big brands. We actually think that education should be free, and we realize from our own products that schools and even governments don't really have the necessarily funding to pay for apps and education content and
custom
so on.
apps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do is partner with bigger brands.
Okay.
Such as eSense, for example, we actually had a partnership with them at the end of last year. Where
What was the nature of that partnership? What was that about?
So we customized our own apps, the Numerosity apps, to fit their brand and the Irish schools and curriculum, and they're giving it away for free at the moment. It's in the Apple App Store.
Okay.
To all students in Ireland and UK.
Wow.
So we believe that this is the future. We believe that big brands should start looking at encouraging their customers to, or bringing value to their customers' lives. And I think education is the best way to move forward. It's investing in our future.
So I presume ThoughtBox will continue to look at partnerships, good partnerships like that.
Yes, and this is why we're looking, even in terms of science, or we're looking to for brands to even come with us to us with a problem. So, if, for example, let's take a bank. If you're looking at banks, there's research showing that if kids if parents open a bank account, for a kid when they're young, then
they build a habit of saving.
They build a habit of saving, and they'll be with that bank for a long time. Yeah. So why not? I don't know, build a game that teaches kids financial education.
Yeah.
And put it out there and show parents that you're, as a bank, you're interested in their kids' future.
Very good. And then your own ThoughtBox branded apps, are you going to release? When will you have the science product ready?
The science product is still in research at the moment, and we're hoping to have it ready and release it for the beginning of the next academic year, which is September.
Okay. Yeah. The last thing I want to ask you about is, and we alluded to it earlier with Nellie Crowe's and the EU report on app development. So having read her report, I realised that you must be incredibly successful, live on a yacht, and all of it, because app developers seem to be making a lot of money. Did you read the report, and what do you think about the app business in general?
Yes, I have read it actually a few days ago, and it's really interesting, and I think it makes a lot of good points. In terms of app development overall, I think it's very hard for app developers to make money from their own apps by selling their own apps, and this is what we found out as well. We realized that I don't know if education is a specific case, but I believe actually that it extends to the majority of the apps out there. But people don't realize the amount of content that they receive within such a small package.
Sure. Yeah.
So they're less inclined to actually pay for apps.
Yeah.
And this is why we're actually looking to partner.
Partnerships are important. Yeah. One of the things, so I know one of the points that I both in the report and then in discussion afterwards, and people, we're doing pretty well. a quarter of the world's app business is in Europe, which is great, and the bones of a million jobs or a million app developers, we've got 500,000 people writing software, 250,000 in marketing and support, so it begins to add up. And impressive revenues. One of the things, though, is that more than half of the people are one-man bands who are writing apps, and they're making less than €1,000 a month from those products. And so that you immediately think, and somebody used the phrase "gold rush." And I can see the point, because there are people like Supercell who made $900 million or euros last year from 2 games. And then you think, and then there's a guy, who's earning, who's not earning a living, and who's working just as hard, probably. So you do get this feeling of a gold rush. And of course, everybody thinks, the app business is a surefire success. And so whilst the app obviously the app business is growing and growing and growing. And probably, we're going to see annual growth of whatever, 20 or 30% maybe for the next couple of years alone. Do you think that we're overestimating the value to local businesses, to companies like ThoughtBox, or are you happy that things are growing very well here?
So I think that as an app development company, you're trying to put your own apps out there on the market. It's very hard, and we are definitely overestimating the value that we can get.
It's not
back.
easy. It's not
exactly.
Easy. Yeah.
Even for us, with all the publicity that we got, and with all the great reviews that we got,
it's still tough going.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is why I believe that the app market should be more about advertisement than actual companies trying to make a living out of it. And just to explain what I mean by that, we're looking at the moment at digital marketing. And digital marketing is mainly around social media and blogging and content marketing and so on. And I think that needs to change. And I really believe that the next step in that digital marketing trend is figuring out how brands can provide value to their customers. The new customers that are today's teenagers and that are growing with technology, they don't react to advertisement anymore. They don't react to features of list of features and statements of greatness and so on. Yeah. They want something more. They want to see that the brands actually care about them. Yeah. So I think the app market is a very good opportunity for brands and companies to provide value to their customers. Even if they look at education, for example, as being one of the biggest problems at the moment out there, or if they look at healthcare, or if they look at productivity, or anything that their end users are looking for or are lacking, I think that's a huge opportunity there for brands to share or to spread their brand virally and also show that they care.
It's funny you say that, because say in-app purchases were only something like 18% of the revenue. Yeah. So you make a good point, I think, in that. And so you think, and it could be people from supermarkets to consumer brands,
exactly,
to anybody. Well, big brands with a public profile, and perhaps a negative public profile, some of them, and it's an opportunity for them.
Exactly. It's an opportunity for them to shine and show that they care. Customers are looking for brands to give something back to their community. Yeah. And a lot of the time, it takes the form of CSR and social responsibilities and so on, which are great. But at the end of the day, they don't really do a lot for the exact end user that is actually looking to buy their products or to shop in their stores and so on. So I think if they are smart about it, they can actually come up with great ideas that improve their customers' daily life and integrate in their daily life or commute and so on.
Very good.
And at the same time spread the word about their brand.
Okay. Interesting. So so the app market's growing, but also it's a chance for big brands to get involved and to start and to start using technology to promote awareness of them as well. Yeah. Yes. Very good. Cristina Luminea, the CEO and founder of ThoughtBox. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.